Thank you. Thank you. Could I say to Liverpool, thank you for being here today, for your solidarity, your support for peace movements, for aggressive causes all over the world, and this wonderful city of solidarity. You stood up for the victims of Hillsborough when the media condemned them. You stood up for the Liverpool dockers when others walked away. You stood up for the people of Palestine when others didn't want to know. You stood up against apartheid. You've stood up on so many international and national causes. Liverpool is the city of solidarity. Thank you. And thank you too to those, Audrey and so many others, that have organised today's event. And I think we should say a special thank you to the Fire Brigades Union for keeping us safe, for looking after us and providing us with a platform wherever we go on this wonderful truck here. So FBU, big it up for the FBU! And to all those that have spoken today, my great friend and comrade John McDonnell, who spoke earlier, to Dan Carden, who spoke earlier, and to Teo, who just sang for us now. It's as if Paul Robeson was here. Paul Robeson, a man who was hunted in the United States, was subject to McCarthyite smears and attacks. His passport was removed by the US government. But Paul spent his life talking about the effects of slavery and the slave trade, of racism in the United States, and in solidarity with miners in South Wales and in Scotland, with dock workers in Liverpool, with workers all over the United States as well as all over Europe. What a man, what a legacy. And I say this, that in studying that man and his legacy, I think we need to change a lot we do in education. I love Black History Month, it's a great idea, but our children should learn the history of slavery and the slave trade all the year round, and the history of colonialism and of liberation movements, and so that our children are brought up to understand that all communities, all faiths on this planet make their contribution to our history and to our learning. That, in the longer term, is the way to defeat racism in any form and the racist ideas that accompany it. So let's dedicate ourselves in this campaign on all those issues. I want to say thank you to those, all of those in the faith communities that came together to condemn this arms fair. All those that have said it must be cancelled. Obviously, it shouldn't be held anywhere, and it certainly should never be held in the city of Liverpool any more than it should be held in London. Think of what this arms fair is about. Showcasing weapons of destruction, showcasing weapons of surveillance, of information, and of the ability to target particular places. And it all sounds great, it all sounds technical, it all sounds fun. You look at it on videos, you look at it on television, you look at it on your computer, and then you realise it kills people. Children in Gaza, children in the Yemen, children in Somalia, children in Myanmar, children in so many places. All kinds of people turn up at these arms fairs to buy things, and they're sold through arms dealers. Those arms dealers have no compunction who they sell them to or what they do at the end of it. Indeed, they advertise their effectiveness. So if we're serious about peace and justice and human rights around the world, if we're serious about the rights of the people of Yemen, then don't sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, who are going to use them against the people of Yemen. And the hypocrisy, and it is rank hypocrisy, of ministers in the British government telling Dan, telling me, telling John, telling many, many others, it's okay, we're the biggest donors for the reconstruction of Yemen. I want to help the people of Yemen. I want our overseas aid to help the people of Yemen to deal with cholera, with water supply, with health conditions, with education, and all those things. But I don't want to be part of the problem that bombed and destroyed them in the first place. So, in that campaign, let us remember all of those things. And remember that wars are easy to start and hard to stop. 9/11 was a disastrous day. Those thousands that died in New York, in the World Trade Center, didn't deserve to die. It was horrendous, it was wrong, and it was terrible. Just as much as those 7,000 that were killed by General Pinochet after the coup on 9/11, 1973. And so, after 9/11 in New York, George Bush gave himself total powers. Only one member of Congress voted against it. The wonderful, wonderful woman who represents Oakland in California, Barbara Lee, was the only one. She said in all conscience she could not vote to start another war. And she was right. And we then voted, or at least I didn't, but a lot of MPs did, that we would send our troops to Afghanistan. Here we are, all these years later. Thousands of Afghan people have died. Desperate refugees now trying to get out, and they should be allowed out, and they should be made welcome in this country, and they should be supported. Thousands of American troops died, 457 British troops died, and more than a million Afghans are refugees in neighbouring countries and other parts of the world. The war in Iraq, which we opposed, the 2 million of us that went to London that day to oppose it, said it won't solve the problems of Iraq, it will cause the wars and the terrorism and the refugee crises of tomorrow. It's this refugee crisis the world faces. 70 million people are refugees, in part caused by the wars. They are people who deserve to live. They're people who want to make their contribution. So I'm ashamed when the British government on the one hand says it's welcoming Afghan refugees, good if they were doing that, and then at the same time tries to push legislation through our parliament which makes it a criminal offence to save somebody's life in the English Channel and push them back rather than coming to our shores. The human instinct is to save life, not condemn those that bring about safety for others. And so, let us oppose this arms fair and the arms trade and develop an economy that works for all. An economy that provides the housing we need, the healthcare we need, the education we need, the ships that we need, the planes that we need, the cars that we need, the trains that we need, the skill, the brilliance, the engineering that's there. I want those skills used for peaceful purposes. I want us to develop an economy based on peace, on justice, on development, and on environmental sustainability. When they talk of security, the British government talks about the ability to arm ourselves and destroy others. I tell you this, just put this in the back of your mind. The firepower on one nuclear submarine is the equivalent of all of the bombs dropped in the Second World War by all parties in the Second World War. That is the human destructive power that we have. Security in the world is not the ability to kill others. Security, real security, is the ability to eat, for your children to be educated, there to be healthcare available, to have clean water, to have clean air, and to sustain our planet and deal with the environmental crisis that is affecting all of us. And so, the work we're doing, all of us, is about peace and justice and human rights. The message we're saying today in Liverpool is, let's turn the corner. turn the page, learn the lessons of the past, let humanity prevail, the arms fair be cancelled, and start the process, the walk down that road to a more peaceful, more just world where we respect each other and the human rights that goes with it, as this wonderful city as Liverpool has always done and always will do. Thank you, all of you, for being here today.
Thank you, Jeremy.